High above the Caribbean, the water looks calm, but the air is about to tear open. Two Venezuelan F-16s drop from the clouds, screaming towards the ocean surface. Their target, a solitary US Navy destroyer, the USS Jason Dunham. To the pilots, this is a show of force. They bank hard, engines roaring, pushing their vintage jets to the limit to intimidate the American crew. They feel powerful, they feel in control, but they are wrong. They aren't the hunters, they are the bait. What the pilots don't see is the invisible web of electromagnetic waves already wrapping around their cockpits. While they show off for the cameras, the destroyer's Aegis combat system has already solved the geometry of their destruction. No alarms are blaring, no missiles are flying, yet. But in the digital mind of that ship, those F-16s were dead the moment they appeared on the horizon. Welcome to the story of a modern naval encounter where 1980s confidence meets 21st century lethality. Before we analyze the kill chain, let's look at the challenger. Two Venezuelan F-16s. Now don't get me wrong, the F-16 is an incredible airframe. It is agile, fast, and proven. However, the jets involved in this encounter are largely older Block 15 models, purchased back in the early 1980s. In a classic Top Gun-style dogfight, they are dangerous. But modern naval warfare isn't a movie. It doesn't rely on who can turn tighter. It relies on who sees first and who shoots first. When these pilots approached the USS Jason Dunham, they brought a 20th century mindset to a 21st century battlefield. They believed that getting close and visual would create psychological pressure. They wanted to send a political message, but they forgot who they were dealing with. The USS Jason Dunham is an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. It is the backbone of the US Navy. More importantly, it is essentially a floating supercomputer armed to the teeth. The mismatch here isn't like a boxing match. It's like a gladiator with a sword charging at a sniper equipped with thermal vision. What makes this destroyer a nightmare for any pilot? The answer lies in one word: Aegis. If you look at the ship's superstructure, you see those large, flat, octagonal plates. Those aren't windows. That is the AN/SPY-1D phase array radar. Let's call it the all-seeing eye. Unlike the mechanical spinning radars on older ships or on the F-16 itself, the SPY-1 radar never blinks. It beams out millions of electromagnetic waves, scanning 360 degrees continuously from the ocean surface up to the edge of space. When the Venezuelan F-16s were just taking off or barely breaking the horizon hundreds of miles away, the Aegis system on the Dunham likely already had them tracked. The system doesn't just see an object, it knows the altitude, speed, heading, and based on the radar cross-section, it can likely identify exactly what kind of threat it is. While the pilot is straining his eyes looking out the canopy to find the ship, the sailors in the Combat Information Center have been tracking him on large screens for 10 minutes, sipping their coffee. The element of surprise, the most critical factor in an attack, is completely gone. For the pilot, it's an adventure. For the Aegis computer, it's just a math problem. Here is the part most people overlook: the invisible war in the electromagnetic spectrum. Let's assume, just for a second, that the pilot decides to lock onto the ship with his radar to fire a missile. Immediately, another beast on the destroyer wakes up, the ANSLQ-32 Electronic Warfare Suite, often called the Slick 32. Imagine you are holding a flashlight in a dark room, trying to find someone. Suddenly, that person points a stadium floodlight directly into your eyes. What do you see? Nothing. You are effectively blind. That is what the SLQ-32 does. It detects the F-16's targeting radar and instantly blasts it with high-power jamming signals. The pilot's radar screen would turn to snow or white noise. He cannot get a missile lock. His weapons become useless dead weight because they have no guidance data. Even worse, the radar warning receiver in the cockpit, the device that beeps to tell the pilot he is being targeted, can be deceived or overwhelmed. The pilot would be flying deaf and blind electronically, completely unaware of where the real danger is coming from. If electronic jamming isn't enough, and the F-16 keeps coming, welcome to the layers of the onion. The Arleigh Burke destroyer isn't just defensive, it is a mobile arsenal. Layer 1, long range, the SM-2. Long before the jet is within visual range, the vertical launch systems, VLS, on the deck are ready. The SM-2 Standard missile can fly at Mach 3.5. That is 3.5 times the speed of sound. The pilot will never see it coming until the proximity fuse detonates. Layer 2, medium range, the ESSM. If by some miracle the jet survives the first layer, the evolved Sea Sparrow missile waits, faster, more agile, specifically designed to intercept maneuvering targets. Layer 3, the last stand, Phalanx CIWs. And finally, the most brutal layer, the Phalanx close-in weapon system. It looks like R2-D2 strapped to a 6-barreled Gatling gun, but don't let the look fool you. It is a fully autonomous robot. Its internal radar locks onto the incoming jet or missile, and it unleashes 4,500 rounds of 20mm tungsten armor-piercing shells per minute. It creates a literal wall of lead in the air. Anything that flies through that wall, whether it's a missile or an F-16, is instantly shredded into confetti. Now let's put it all together. If the Venezuelan pilot had made a fatal error and flipped the switch to master arm, how would the scenario play out? T-minus 60 seconds. The pilot attempts to turn on his targeting radar. T-minus 59 seconds. The ship's electronic warfare suite detects the signal. The computer classifies it as hostile. T-minus 55 seconds. Jamming begins. The pilot's screens glitch and go static. He loses the lock. T-minus 45 seconds. The captain of the Dunham authorizes engagement. T-minus 40 seconds. A flash of white smoke erupts from the ship's deck. An SM-2 missile clears the rail, accelerating to 2,500 miles per hour in seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. The pilot might see a smoke trail in the distance, but his warning systems are jammed. He tries to bank hard to escape. T-minus 0 seconds. It's too late. The SM-2 detonates. The blast sends thousands of tungsten fragments through the unarmored airframe of the jet. The entire engagement lasts less than a minute. There is no glory, there is no dogfight, just the cold precision of algorithms and physics. The encounter between the Venezuelan F-16s and the USS Jason Dunham ended peacefully. No shots were fired, the pilots returned to base, perhaps feeling proud of their show of force. But for military analysts, this event was a stark reminder of how the technology gap has redefined warfare. Bravery and pilot skill are essential, but when you bring 1980s hardware against the integrated defense networks of the 2020s, you aren't fighting, you are committing suicide. Ships like the USS Jason Dunham are not just vessels, they are perfect defensive ecosystems where threats are neutralized before they are even seen by the human eye. What do you think about this encounter? Does quantity or pilot skill still matter in the age of digital warfare? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into military technology. Thanks for watching.